This is Jessica Volkman and Alexis Moore. We're here to take you on a little bit of a overview tour of Tacoma, Washington today. We've been getting some messages about people that are moving or thinking about moving to Washington, and Tacoma's kind of like urban, but not Seattle. And so we are getting questions. So we're just going to kind of go over some of the neighborhoods, some of the areas, and give you a little overview.
So some of the major highlights for Tacoma include, but are not limited to, the Port of Tacoma, kind of a major zone. Also, Point Defiance Park is really great. Everybody knows about the Tacoma Dome. If you drive I-5, you'll see it. It's huge right along the freeway there. Downtown Tacoma is a historical district, and the Glass Museum is very well known there.
So speaking of downtown Tacoma, we'll kind of talk a little bit about that first. Like I said, there is the University of Washington right there. It overlooks the water. It's beautiful. There's lots of restaurants right in that area. The vibe is kind of urban, bustling. There's historical buildings, kind of a mix of some modern condos situations going on, but there's always people walking around.
As you mentioned, the Glass Museum's pretty famous downtown. You can wander around and not even go in, but now they've got the LeMay Car Museum as well downtown. That's pretty great. I've been to several concerts there out in the grass. It's kind of a cool spot.
Yeah, and then the waterfront area right there is beautiful. There's some condos that have waterfront actual, like where you can go kayaking and everything right off of them. So this is definitely more ideal for someone that wants a little bit more of that urban lifestyle. You're not getting very big yards. Most of the things are built tall because they're on the hillside looking over the water.
So just up the hill from downtown is what we call Old Town. It's not too far away. The vibe is kind of old, charming, historic. It's a close-knit community. It's really cute. That's how I would describe Old Town. Is just a very cute place to live.
So there's lots of historic homes in that area. There's beautiful water views. It's more residential, but still very close to downtown and where you can get that hustle and bustle, but then you go home kind of a feel. And it also is close to the University of Puget Sound.
And then we move into the north end of Tacoma, which from my perspective, I get a lot of clients that are very interested in your north Tacoma. There's a lot of historic homes in that area. It's I would say considered probably one of the best neighborhoods of Tacoma. I hear that all the time, like, oh, we only want to live in the north end. It's hard to get in there.
Yeah, I think there's low turnover unless you're willing to put the work in to rehab something that's been owned for 50 years. They've been owned a long time. Beautiful craftsmen's homes in there.
So in North End, I would say there's not a lot of diversity as far as home style. It's mainly single family homes. There might be a couple of duplexes mixed in, but mostly single family homes with a decent sized yard. But they are definitely almost all older homes.
Yeah, I think that's where you get those real stately homes, the beautiful, the people that worked in the port in the 1900s built these beautiful mansions, and that's kind of where you can kind of run into those beautiful views. And there is some newer construction kind of coming, but it's more rehabbing and renovating and restoring that's happening in the North End. So then we go to the Proctor District, and Proctor is a vibe of residential and local commercial. It's known for being walkable. So people that want to live there have mainly single family homes, but they can walk, and it's got lots of just local shops and grocery stores and farmers markets.
Yeah, it's cute little restaurants and stuff. You can wander around, have lunch, hang out. It's kind of a fun place to just wander around and spend the afternoon too.
I would say that's probably one of my favorite areas. It's just the vibe is cool. It's very laid back. And if you are somebody that really appreciates local goods, Proctor's where you can find them.
The next neighborhood is called Hilltop, which is an urban revitalizing area. It's definitely hustle and bustle kind of a feel. There's some new businesses coming and lots of new restaurants popping up, I noticed.
Yeah, there's a really good ice cream shop over there. But I think that you really have to be committed to being part of that revitalization process. This is an area that's really working on revitalizing, but it is very community-based. So it's an area that is a tight-knit community. The people that have been there were raised there, and so we're just now starting to see some overturn in that. But you got to want to be part of that.
So moving into central Tacoma, this is kind of more like an industrial area. Also, the mall is right in that area.
Yeah.
There's lots of neighborhoods kind of packed into one bigger neighborhood.
This is kind of like where the Tacoma Dome is. But yeah, there's lots of industry, lots of little pockety residential neighborhoods in that area. Not a ton of apartment complexes, some.
Yeah, there's a few, and there's condominiums too.
And there's condos. Yeah, so there's kind of like, it's kind of a catch-all, I guess is what we could call it.
And very convenient. Like, as if you're looking for something that's close to the freeway, get ready, you have a commute to Seattle or something, I would say Central Tacoma is a pretty great location.
And then we move into like South Tacoma. So South Tacoma continues a little bit of that like middle class, working class, but it becomes more residential. So you lose some of that industry and it just becomes more residential. You're a little bit further from like your grocery store, but they're still just down the street. Still very much an urban area, but it's just much more residential and I guess more laid back a little bit.
Yeah, and it's a little bit farther to downtown. So if you're living, South Tacoma, you're going to, drive 10, 15 minutes just to get downtown if that's where you're going for dinner or whatever. Also PLU. Yes, a pretty big highlight of South Tacoma too.
Yeah, there's the university there. When it comes up from clients is that it's a little bit more affordable.
So another affordable option is the east side of Tacoma, which is obviously just east of Tacoma a little bit. So it's a little farther out of town is what I would describe it as.
Yeah, you get a little bit, it's undergoing a lot of development right now. So it was a lot of smaller homes and people have been redoing them and adding on to them because they had bigger yards but were smaller homes. And so what I've seen is that people are buying them and flipping them and like adding on or putting garages because they didn't have them. So there's just definitely some development going on there, but it has been considered one of the more affordable areas to buy and live in when we're talking about the actual just like Tacoma metropolis area.
Overall, I would say Tacoma is one of the more breathtaking view type cities where you can see Mount Rainier coming through. You can be driving down the freeway right through the middle of the city, and it's like amazingly beautiful. There's so many parks throughout the city, and Point Defiance is one that I would say if you're just visiting the area, definitely take the time to get out there and check it out. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, this weekend at one of the parks, somebody captured orca pods came through and they were jumping out of the water and like the seals were swimming and it was a beautiful sunny day in January in Washington. So like this is probably one of the most breathtaking places I've been, and Tacoma has all of that right there wrapped up into it. So if Tacoma is someplace that you are looking to visit or looking to move to and you have questions or want details on one of these neighborhoods, we are going to be deep diving into a few of these neighborhoods, but if there's something specific, send us a message or comment below and we will get back to you and we will give you all the deets on what you're looking for.